Hello, and welcome back to the Ever Changing World podcast. I'm your host, Ava Zanetti, and I know, guys, it feels like I'm beating a dead horse. I think every single person everywhere has talked about this huge event, and to be honest, I felt like I needed to too. I know, this is why I have a podcast, guys, because I love to give my opinion about things. And to be honest, I felt like I really did want to give my opinion about this as well. I've watched so many videos about many different perspectives on this topic, and of course, I'm talking about the Will Smith, Chris Rock slapping situation. It's such a funny event that I have to say that Will Smith slapped someone in the face. But this is where we are in this moment of time. It is currently Monday, April 4th, 2022. This happened when the Oscars occurred. To be honest, I do not know the exact date, so I'm going to look up that time. But whenever I looked up Oscars 2022, all that came up was this Will Smith, Chris Rock situation. And, I expected that. Okay, so, sorry about that. The 94th Academy Awards was held on March 27th. So there's lots to talk about in the Will Smith situation, and of course I will get into that heavily, and I'm sure you've all heard a lot about it, but, if you want to hear me talk about it, go ahead. But also, I do want to say, I do have a few points that I want to make as well before I talk about that, because there were some people, and I know we always say, Oscar winners were snubbed of their win, or people who were nominated were snubbed of their wins. But I think some people were snubbed of the spotlight. I think there was a lot of amazing things that happened at the Oscars. There was a lot of firsts or maybe not firsts, but really cool things that happened at the Oscars that did not relate to Will Smith. And it was really unfortunate that this situation, as silly as it is, or maybe it's not as silly as it is, I guess it depends on your opinion, but that this slapping situation, funny again to call it that, but that's what it is, that this situation held so much bearing on the news that these other people couldn't get the spotlight. Though you could also argue that the Oscars wouldn't have any spotlight this year if it wasn't for that. So it is really a double-edged sword in that scenario. But all in all, today, I don't just want to focus on Will Smith, so I will talk about some of the other parts of the Oscars before I talk about the Will Smith scenario, because I could talk about the Will Smith scenario for a very long time, but I don't want to talk about it the whole time. I would like to talk a little bit about the other stuff about the Oscars. So you guys won't have to deal with Will Smith the whole time, and hopefully, of course, that is... you're expecting this anyways with the title, so I guess this is your fault if you're listening to it at this point in time. But next week should go back to a little bit more normal programming. I guess it is a normal programming, but I would like to do a really fully fledged research episode very soon. So, I will be doing that, but today's episode again is kind of calm. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction before I get into it, as today's episode again is pretty calm. It's just me talking, and as you guys know, I can ramble. So before I get into that, I'm going to do a quick introduction. Of course, hello, it's another new week. It's Monday as I'm recording this, or Tuesday when you are listening. I hope you guys had a great week. My week has been pretty good. It's been really busy. I went back to school. We had March break, but last week was our first full week back. This week again is our second full week back, and I have 3 tests this week. I have my first one today, second one tomorrow, so it's been kind of stressful. I have a lot of clubs I'm in, a lot of extracurriculars, so it is kind of stressful, but it's all worth it in the end. And as well, next week is only a 4-day week, so I'm kind of just looking forward to that and muscling through before I'm done grade 10. It's coming to a close, and it happens very quick. So that's what I'm looking forward to right now. My laptop actually broke. Don't know what happened, to be honest. Don't tell my mom this. But I think I spilled water on it. So it broke, but I do have a backup MacBook that I had bought myself, actually, in grade 7. So I'm using that right now. I am still using the microphone I usually use. And actually, this MacBook, because it's older, it has a USB import, so I don't have to use this kind of stupid dongle that I usually have to use in the other laptop, which is actually really nice. But I'm currently using that. I don't think there is any issues with it. Actually, I think this laptop has better battery life than my old laptop, or I guess my new one, technically. it stays charged a lot longer than my other one. So, to be honest, I think that this might be a good thing for now. Anyways, if the audio's a little off, that might be it. Also, I don't know if I'm getting sick, but my family's a little bit sick this week, so if I'm drinking more water like I just did today, or my nose sounds a little sniffly, I can almost feel it right now. It may be because of that, but I should be okay. I don't think it's anything bad. Not COVID, no COVID. I always say that in episodes. I talk about COVID or masks, and it's really funny because people might be listening to this, and who knows how many months or years or whatever, even weeks, and obviously the situation's getting better every day. So I think it is really funny that I do mention that because obviously people listen in real time or very close to when I record these. But I mean, who knows? People might listen to these when I'm older. Maybe one day, if people are looking back at these and they, can laugh at some of my videos. I expect that in the future. So, it's definitely funny I have to mention that. But if you're not aware, COVID-19 was kind of a big deal. In my time where I am right now. So that's kind of the situation there. As well, I do want to do an NFT episode. I do want to do a, talking more about the Russian-Ukraine conflict war. I also want to talk about, there's another one I really want to talk about that came up on my mind. Anyways, there's a lot of episodes. I do this every week, so honestly, there is really no rush for everything, and I'm kind of taking it a week at a time. I record the episodes that I think are right. Some weeks I do more thorough episodes, some weeks I don't. Like, this week isn't as thorough. Obviously, I do have content and I have a lot of opinions because it's been around the news, but it's not super heavily researched or anything. So, I am actually, because my week's so busy this week, I decided to do a little bit of an easier one. And then next week should be back to full-fledged programming. So, you guys shouldn't be worried about that at all. And honestly, I think these episodes are fun too. So, I like recording them. If you guys don't like listening to them, though, obviously let me know. I don't know if I have a big enough platform for asking for feedback from you guys yet, but I definitely think that it's worthwhile to say that. So, obviously, give me recommendations. What do you think? Certain episodes are good, certain episodes are bad, etc., etc. So yeah, today's episode again, I am going to really just go over everything about the Oscars. I'm not doing a history lesson on it, actually. And actually, I might touch on the Grammys as well, because the Oscar situation flooded to the Grammys, as, all these shows do. So why don't we just get right into it? I first want to talk about the deaf actor who won an Academy Award, his first ever Academy Award. And I want to talk about this movie, Coda. So, this movie was really, really big this year, and I heard it was really good. I have not watched it, to be honest. I do love movies, but I'm not a huge movie buff or anything, so it's not like I watch all of these Oscar movies, but, maybe one day I will do that. But, this year, I saw his speech. I came upstairs from my room, talking to my mom, and I was like, oh, look at the Oscars on, and I was like, oh, look at this, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's deaf, and I learned about him then. I didn't see the Will Smith stuff live, unfortunately, kind of sad, but I did see Coda. So, Troy, okay, I mispronounce everything, but Troy Kotsur, Oscar, he won an Oscar. And it was a really, really moving speech. I watched it and I almost teared up. It was really moving. So he became the first deaf performer to win an Academy Award in the Best Supporting Actor category. So this was in the movie, Coda. So, actually, funnily enough, his co-star in the film, Marlee Matlin, became the first deaf actor to ever win an Oscar when she won for the Best Actress in 1987 for her performance in Children of a Lesser God. So that does not stand for Coda. I thought it stood for Coda at first, but it does not. So he actually worked for the first deaf person who ever won an Academy Award, and then he became the second, which was really amazing. So, when he was giving the speech, I remember it too, and I can even speak for when I was watching it. He was speaking with such passion, and tears actually was formed in his eyes, right? He was visibly crying, and, obviously it's a big deal, right? This is a huge thing. and you know, he could see he was crying, and he can't speak, right? Well, not, he can't speak. That's a really bad way to word it. He was signing when he was doing the speech, so you could hear the translator over top of what he was saying. And even just you could just see it in his face, and you know how he was even, you know, signing, and it was such a big deal. And I'm so sad that this stupid Will Smith situation, because it is really stupid if you think about it, that it overthrew such an amazing actor and such an amazing feat as well. But I mean, this is why I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, because I didn't think it would be worthy about talking about the 2022 Oscars without talking about, you know, a guy who really made the Oscars. So, you know, he had these tears in his eyes when he took the stage, etc. And everybody actually, sighed a silent applause. So when you sign in sign language, if you don't know, it kind of looks like jazz hands. You move your hands back and forth horizontally to sign applause with both of your hands. So that was really beautiful when everybody did this. You know, one of the main things one of the main quotes he said was, "This is amazing to be here on this journey. I can't believe I'm here," which is what he signed. And then he said, "I really want to thank all the wonderful deaf theater stages where I was able to develop my craft as an actor." So this was one of the craziest stories for me as well about his own life. So Troy Kotsur was deaf, but his parents were hearing. So his parents, being the great parents they were, they learned how, and his family learned how to sign so they communicate with his son, right? With you know, yeah, their kid. Oh, sorry about that. I was fiddling with my the dongle. Anyways, so they as great parents do, they learned how to sign for their kid, and you know, they really taught him this. And when I heard this next part, it really did almost make me tear up. And I'm warning you, it might make you tear up as well. So in the household, in a speech, she was talking about how his father was the best signer in the household. That he was the one who could sign the best, even compared to him, right? He was the one who could communicate the best, right? His father is hearing, and he could sign, and then his son is deaf, right? And he signed only. So that was the situation. And I'm gonna read this quote word by word and then talk about it. So, you know, Troy ends up continuing and saying, one moment here, add, that's lovely. He ended up saying, "My dad, he was the best singer in our family, but he was in a car accident." So, oh my gosh, I totally messed up that word. I'm gonna reread that. "My dad, he was the best signer in our family, but he was in a car accident, and he became paralyzed from the neck down and was no longer able to sign." And then he said, "You are my hero." This was so impactful. I couldn't even muster the words about this situation. His father, who was the one who could best communicate, the only way he could communicate with his son. Think about it this way, right? I'm speaking, so let's say I'm talking to my mom, right? I'm speaking, she's speaking, we're both hearing, right? And I lose, you know, there's nothing that I can even compare it to in terms of your hearing and everyone. No, I really can't. I think the situation itself is incomparable, because the father, who the only way he could talk to his son was by signing, ends up getting into a horrible car accident, which debilitates his only form of communication with his son. And not only debilitates that, he also becomes paralyzed from the neck down, which is obviously just a horrible thing to go through. But when you can't even sign, you can't even talk, really, if you want to word it that way, when you can't even talk to your own son, you know, and on top of it, right, you're also obviously paralyzed. Just imagine how hard that was. And as well, the fact that he was the best signer, that he was the best one in the household that could sign, and the best one in the family for that, is actually horrible. I can't even imagine this situation. And I think that was even more, it really hits your heartstrings, because it really makes you think about, you know, how lucky we are, right? That, you know, because really, realistically, sign language is just another language, right? It's not any different than that. And, you know, sign language really is just, you're just speaking another language. But when you lose that, the only way that you're able to communicate with your son, I just couldn't imagine. I don't even know how they went on after that, but they did, and he called his father his hero, and I can see why. I mean, his family just seemed amazing already in the way that they brought him up and all of that. But I just think, you know, even beyond that, I can't even get over, you know, how crazy it is. And I really do just think it is, I think it's just amazing. So, really, I wanted to get that story in because I think that story was really overshadowed. I think that, you know, we didn't hear enough about Troy and his story. We didn't hear enough about, you know, the amazing people who won their Oscars and got overshadowed again by this really stupid situation. We have to be honest, it is really stupid. But I really just didn't want to talk about Troy and his movie Coda. I heard it was really amazing, so I recommend it because I heard it was good. But if it's bad, don't blame me because I didn't watch it. I also wanted to talk about the other winners of the awards because again, everybody was kind of snubbed of being talked about. So I just want to talk about this briefly. Best actor, I'll get into that because it's part of the slapping situation. Best actress was Jessica Chastain, and this was her first time she was nominated. So she actually finally got her Oscar, which is really amazing. So this movie I've not watched it again, but oh yes, I've heard about this one. Tammy Faye Baker, from her early beginnings growing up in a religious community to meeting and marrying Jim Baker and preaching across America. I've heard about this, which involved everything from songs to puppetry. I heard that was a really good movie as well. I'm probably gonna say about all the movies, but I haven't heard about a lot of them. Coda, again, Troy Kotsur for Best Supporting Actor, which I really think is amazing. He was the second deaf actor, and he worked with the first deaf actor to win an Oscar, which I think is just the coolest situational, like, you know, coincidence. And I think it's also not only just a coincidence, but, you know, that's so funny that happened. But I think that's really amazing. Next person, Best Supporting Actress, we have Ariana DeBose from West Side Story. I've heard of West Side Story. I don't know if it's good or not. You know, I believe this is her first Academy Award, yes. So she said, okay, I think this is a really cool speech. So she said, even in this weary world we live in her speech, dreams do come true. So she was really emotional about this, and I think that's really nice. Best Director. I think directors don't get enough credit because, you know, they're so important. But Best Director was in The Power of the Dog. One of my friends watched it. They said it was really good. This was, of course, I think this is just a dog story. Yeah, this is a dog story. I believe that's what it was about. Visual effects. I do have to say, this movie I did watch. I did watch it, guys. Dude, I really, really, really liked Dude. All the movies on this list actually were really good. I watched, I think, all of them. But all the nominations for visual effects. But I think Dude did deserve that one. Dude was a pretty... I mean, a lot of people say Dude was really boring. Personally, I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm sure I probably like the book. Actually, the books look really long. But I heard the books were good. If you're into sci-fi, I heard it's really good. The books, at least. The movie itself, I mean, it was a little boring in some parts, but I didn't think it got a really bad rap. I think that it was a lot better than a lot of people were making it out to be. Which, I mean, people usually do that, but I think that it was definitely good. So, Dune ended up winning visual effects, which I think it deserved. If you've seen Dune, if you haven't, I mean, look up the images. There was a lot of sand, but I mean, sand's kind of hard to make visual effects for. There's some cool monsters and stuff, you know. Best animated feature film. The only thing I've seen on TikTok for months, it feels like, was Enchanto. This was huge. This was about I believe they are in Spanish. I believe they're a Spanish family that ends up talking about, you know, each person has a different strength and talking about family dynamics and how everyone's, you know, important, you know, that kind of thing. You know, Best Picture, Coda won again. Amazing, amazing. So yeah, those were the wins. I feel like those wins kind of got snubbed. in a way, I think that those movies, I mean, of course they've made a lot of money, and these people made a lot of money in the movies, but I definitely think that these people got snubbed of their win because people, just they didn't care, because now this stupid slapping situation, which I will talk about, really got in the way. And I think that opens up a topic for debate on this whole situation. Before I talk about the situation itself, I want to give a little picture on how poorly the Oscars have been doing in the last few years. So I'm going to look up the Oscars, viewership by year. That might help. No, I don't think so. It's been going down steadily for a really long time. Maybe not down. Let's see. I mean, I'm so proud of Troy. I gotta say that. This is the second lowest ratings for the telecast ever. Last year was the lowest. So, I mean, we aren't doing too hot in terms of it, which opens up the debate for the whole situation. Okay, I really want to look up the Oscar searches by year. I've seen this diagram for a really long time. Google user searches rated. No, I don't want to see the winners because I know the winners. How many people have watched each year? I mean, I can't do this. Oscar Google searches by year. I think this was what people looked up. This is guys, I should have looked this up before. Yeah. That's probably a good one. Okay. I mean, I can't find the exact numbers, but I saw it went really high. Google search, by year database? That might give me something. Google Trends, that might be good. Okay. Oscars. There we go. Kim Kardashian and all these Oscars. Okay. If I just look up the Oscars, year by year, okay. So I'm just in Canada right now. Okay, yeah, that was a huge spike, of course. Wow. Okay. I want to look worldwide, and then I want to look 2004 to present and see the Google. So I just looked up the Google search term Oscars. Okay, this is this is really staggering. Okay, this is a huge. I'm gonna link this. And we can. I mean, I can definitely. Look, tell you. I'll link this in. That's what I meant to say. I will link this in, but I want to do this as a preface on the situation because a lot of people are saying it's fake, and I mean, it does kind of seem fake after looking at these statistics, but I personally don't think it's fake. You can be the judge of that after I tell you about the situation, but it's pretty staggering. Okay, so one of the biggest humps that I see here was 2016, and that had I don't know how they do this. I don't know what the range is over here. It says 100. I don't know what that is up by though. And a value of 100 is peak popularity of the term. Okay, so the ranking of this, I'm going to read this out. So, they recommended general search interest over time. A value of 100 is peak popularity for the term. Value of 50 means that the term is half as popular, score of 0. Not enough data for this term. Okay, so, for the term Oscars, just spelled lowercase like that, this isn't a great way to, research this database, but it's good enough. So, let's see some of these hubs. So, when this begins, 2004, we had at peak, we had 40. So we're about half as the most popular. Let's move to 2009. We had a 70. So we were moving up, right? We had a few little humps, but it stayed pretty significant at that 60, 70-ish point. Then in 2013, we had a 92. So we were almost at peak popularity. 93 for 2014. We had, again, this is out of a 100 scale. It just says the term relative to each other. So I guess that, makes sense. 2015, we had 92. And then 2016 was the highest since 2004 that people searched up the Oscars. So I'm not going based off of viewership numbers, but I'm going off of who looked up the term Oscars, and the peak was in 2016. Then we slowly go down. 2017 was pretty good at 96, and then it goes right down in 2018. We had a really low hump there with about half as many viewers. We had 57. So if you're looking at the graph right now, which I recommend pull it up, I linked it in there. I'll name it something like Oscars database or search term database, something like that. But it's at 57 in 2018. Then it does go up in 2019. I believe there was something that went on there with 83. Then in 2020, before the pandemic hit, we were at 68. Okay, this is where the big drop happens. Got it? 2021, which was last year for me, is at 25. So a quarter of his popularity in 2016, right? That's huge. The hump is so low. And it only looked like it was going to get worse. But, Will Smith saved the day, and we're at 76 right now. So, I think that says enough. I mean, you can say it was a ploy. Part of it could have been a ploy. Maybe they were going to do something like that for sure. But I think that slap and that situation leading up to the slap, I think a lot of it was real. Because just the way that, these things were happening, it just seemed like, how it played out, it almost seemed like it had to be this way. So I did want to mention that, because that was really big for me, and I felt that, that search database made sense. As well, Will Smith drew 25 times more Google searches than Oscar winner Coda, which again was Troy, who was the deaf actor who won. Which is kind of sad. I'm very upset about that, because I think that was not, I just don't think that was good. Okay. Guys, we're getting into Will Smith territory. I've made it. We're almost halfway through the episode, too. I'm glad I didn't talk about this as long as I thought I would. I just got a big gulp of water there. I'm gonna make sure I'm really ready to start really talking about this, because this is a doozy. Okay, let's set up the night. Okay, we're gonna set up the scene with the Will Smith situation. Okay, so we're watching the Oscars. I'm literally sitting in a different position for this. We're watching the Oscars. I am Will Smith. Okay, famous actor, very popular, everyone knows Will Smith to be a good guy. We know Will Smith to be a humble, I think people think of him as humble. I always thought of him as humble. A humble, good man, okay? Who doesn't get into trouble. Now we have Jada Smith, his wife, his long-time wife. Jada has something called alopecia. So alopecia is I want to get this term right, because I don't want to mess this up and then be wrong, because I don't want to give you false information. But alopecia basically pretty much is either patches in the hair or loss of hair. So it is the medical term for bald. You go bald, basically. So this is a patchy baldness, can happen anywhere on the body. So this can happen on your scalp, so for your hair. The beard area for men, or women, I guess, too. Eyebrows, eyelashes, armpits, inside your nose even inside your ears. And then also it can completely go. So, alopecia is a very big deal. Losing your hair sucks, right? And it can come out in clumps, and it can be a very, very just sad thing. I believe there's another sort of term to it is is it a disease? I don't believe it's a disease. It's a autoimmune disorder. So when you have an autoimmune disorder, you are more likely to get more autoimmune disorders. So it's not just the losing of hair; it could also develop into something else. But right now, it's not deadly. It's not like she is going to die tomorrow, right? Put that as well into your head. But she is losing hair, and Jada Smith has also been open about it too. She has said on her own talk show, or whatever show she does, I don't know what format it is, but she has said, and on multiple platforms, she's been very open about her hair loss, and she has said, I don't care what anybody says about it, I am proud of it, right? Okay. That is we have discussed those two main points, okay? We have Jada, we have Will. Now we need a little bit of background on Will, and we need a little bit of background on Jada, and what I mean by that is their situation. So, a few years ago, there was this whole big scandal where Jada Smith cheated on Will Smith. And she cheated, not only just cheated on him, but cheated on him with one of her son's friends. Her son, so a lot younger than her. He was legal at the time, of course, but she did cheat on him with one of her son's friends, okay? That's obviously a weird situation. That was a very big deal. Will handled it very maturely, and he stayed with Jada. He did not leave Jada. I guess, it's their business. He forgave her, whatever. That is their problem to deal with. But yes, he ended up staying with Jada, and they worked it out in a way. So that's what ended up happening there. So you also want to keep that in mind for both Will and Jada. And, there's a lot of jokes out there that kind of talk about these two things. But when you're keeping that fact in mind, it also puts into this story a little bit into perspective. Okay, now we have Chris Rock. So Chris Rock so I'm talking about the black community.
Sorry, could you say that again?
I'm
having trouble hearing you.
Siri, that is okay. I am so sorry. Siri on my Apple Watch just started talking to me. Hopefully that was not a jump scare or disruptive to you. Anyways, Chris Rock and Will Smith, they don't have the best of terms. I believe there was something else that happened at another Oscars, and there was a little bit of a fight or something happened. Anyways, Will Smith and Jada, again, I want to mention this, at the Oscars 2022, were sitting in the front row. And as we know, the front row is notorious for people getting quote-unquote roasted, or people just getting made fun of, right? That when you're in the front row, you're just expecting it, right? That's the point of being in the front row. Okay, remember that again. As well, Chris Rock is a comedian. Again, remember that. And he is where? At his workplace. He is at his job. Okay? I think that's all that I wanted to say, and I'm going to look up the very video because I don't really want to do anything else. Okay, so we are going to look up Will Smith, Chris Rock. Okay, we got a little bit of background. We need the video. Okay. So, here we go. Get your listening ears in.
You know who's got the hardest job?
Okay, so this is Chris talking.
You know who's got the hardest...
I am so sorry about that. This is Chris. And this is, watch the uncensored moment when Will Smith... Okay, by the way, Will Smith does drop the F-bomb. So, if you want to cover your ears during that time, I'm not going to mark this with no swear words, because it's going to be one time you hear him say this word. I'm just going to put that out there as well as a warning if you don't want to, hear it. Okay. Here we go.
Hardest job tonight, Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Okay. I'm going to play the rest of this, but I do want to say I'm going to do a play-by-play after this and kind of tell you what's happening and what I see when I'm decoding this moment, okay?
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
My wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
Okay, so that was the moment. I think Chris handled that very well after getting slapped in the face, and I want to do a little bit of a play-by-play, the moment leading up to it, and see what's happening, okay? Because again, put it in your mind. Chris Rock is a comedian. He is making jokes, okay? It's so funny I'm doing a play-by-play by a comedian's jokes because he could have said a lot worse things, and I do want to say, he could have said things about the cheating scandal and made it a lot worse, but he just talked about Jada's bald head, okay? She has alopecia, we get it, but it wasn't even a good joke, but we'll get into that. We're going to do a play-by-play. Okay, here we go again. Also, I do want to mention that this video has almost 100 million views since March 27th when it was posted. So this is obviously a big deal. There is no more you can't even see the dislikes anymore on YouTube, which I hate, but there's 1.3 million likes. So there we go. And the comments, everyone said, everyone was part of the joke, but, he made it. Yeah, everyone's saying Chris handled it really well. And everyone said, and this is a good point, everyone said if Will did not hit Chris, we probably wouldn't even know the Oscars happened. Which might be a topic of discussion. Okay, here we go. Play by play. We're going to decode this 1.5-minute video. Bear with me here.
You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord.
Okay, so that first 20 seconds, Chris is talking about some other actor and his wife. Everybody's laughing. You can hear in the audience, everybody's having a great time. Chris is very funny. He's making this funny joke saying that Will needs to win. And then now he's going to transition into his next joke because he talked about Will, right, briefly. Will, right now, if you see the picture, we can see he's laughing. He looks like he's having a good time. Everyone's talking about Lupita, who's in the background behind him. She has the funniest reactions through this, so I might mention those. But Will, he's laughing. Everybody's laughing, right? Okay, so I hate when people laugh at when other people are getting hit on, but then they get really upset when they are hit on. It almost feels like that in this situation. But again, I'm going to do a play-by-play. So right now, everybody's happy. Everyone's having a good time. Everybody's laughing. We just said Will Smith's name, okay? Next part.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Okay. That was a whole joke. Okay, if this is a frame, that's really, really funny to me. Okay, so he said, Jada, I love you. Can't wait to see it. G.I. Jane 2. So if you don't know what G.I. Jane is, it was a movie in the 90s, a really long time ago, which is an outdated reference, but, whatever. And she was like a military woman, right? She was kind of like this badass, beautiful, stunning, strong, powerful military woman who happened to be bald, okay? So he said, I love you, Jada, can't wait to see it. G.I. Jane 2, right? There was never a second movie, that was the joke. So, it was funny enough, right? And it was a joke, honestly. If I heard it, I would have forgotten it right away. It wasn't a memorable joke, but it wasn't horrible. You're in the front row, you're gonna get some jabs. Honestly, I think that was one of the lightest jabs in the night. Come on. He just said G.I. Jane 2. And it's so funny after his reaction too. But it was And also, it's not like he compared, and I've heard this topic too, it's not like he compared Jada to, like, Shrek, right? He compared her to this really cool, powerful woman. So you could also think about it that way, like, you know, what is this situation? So as well, if we do a little bit of a play-by-play here when he's talking,
Jada, I love you.
I also want to talk about the reactions, okay?
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
So, Will here, okay, you can hear the audience laughing, okay, we can see Will and we can see Jada. So we can see he kind of, Will does a little bit of a lead laugh, and he claps, he's like, ha 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 ha, like that. He's like, ha 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 ha. I've watched this video so many times, and he goes, you know, like, he does that little clap, he's like, ha ha ha. He's laughing, he's visibly laughing. His wife on the side, though, Jada, she's visibly rolling her eyes. Okay? Keep that picture in your mind. Yeah, she like Will's laughing and he's like, ha ha ha, it's funny. And then she's like annoyed, and then she like gets like almost positions herself upward more. She's like rolling her eyes in the back of her head. She looks really annoyed. Okay. Okay. Then Chris kind of just goes with this goofy self. He's like, ha ha, that was a good one. All right. Okay, that's what happened.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard.
Okay. So, that's kind of what happened there. You can kind of hear here. So, Chris Rock almost moves on from their joke immediately. He was like, that was a nice one. And I think you could tell that Will and Jada, something was going on between them. They might have done some glances, and Jada might have done like a, why would you let him say that? Or Will was like, oh shoot, I was laughing at that joke, what's going to happen? A lot of people are saying that maybe Will feels like his manhood is gone since he was cheated on, all of that, and he's almost trying to make up for it with the slap. A lot of people are saying that Jada might have forced him, but either way, Will Smith is a grown-ass man. He can make his own decisions, so him going to slap Chris Rock, even if Jada was annoyed and rolling her eyes, I mean, he could have handled it in so many better ways. Will Smith could have just yelled for the crowd like he did afterwards and been like, hey, don't say that about my wife. Or gone up to the stage, taken the mic, and been like, that was a really inappropriate thing to say. You know, my wife, you know, she is insecure about this thing, and she, you know, she isn't very comfortable about this. So, you know, I kind of wanted to give that point of view, because I think it could have done it in a lot of better ways. If she really is that insecure about it, and we have seen, you know, evidence that she isn't, but let's say she really is insecure about it, I think that she could have, Will Smith, if he really wanted to, quote unquote, defend his wife, he could have done it in a lot better ways. But, you know, that's kind of, you know, it. Okay, so also, I do want to mention, Chris ends up saying, uh-oh, Richard! Because, Will is, like, storming onto the stage. And he goes, like, uh-oh, Richard! Because Richard was a character he played in the movie he actually won Best Acting role in. He ended up winning this, award for the Williams family. So Serena and Venus Williams, their family. So Richard, I believe it was their coach, if I'm not mistaken, or their dad, something like that. It was him he played. So that's why.
Sure I understand.
I am so sorry, my watch keeps going off. So that's what they were that's what he was referencing, like, oh, Richard, like, he was joking around. Chris clearly doesn't seem like anything's going to happen. Okay, next frame. I feel like I have to really go through this so we get all the points through. Okay, so Chris is laughing, and everyone's kind of laughing, right? Everyone's like, oh my gosh, what is he gonna do? And then, boom! You could hear it. You could hear it right when Chris got that slap in the face. It looked hard. He physically, to the side. And, okay, Chris Rock isn't like a super short guy, but he's not as tall as Will Smith, right? He's not as big, right? So when you see this, it's you know, it's pretty big. So now let's see the recovery, because I think this was probably the better part. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so Will's end up walking out kind of like a gangster, really. He's ended up walking kind of with that cool guy walk, and Chris is kind of just sitting there like, wow. Like, I mean, he's handling it very professionally, I have to say, but I mean, I don't know what I would have done if that happened, I'll be honest.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
So now he makes an automatic joke, right? He's like, what else are you gonna say? He's a comedian. He's like, oh shoot, he just slapped the shit out of me, right? Like he's making a joke about this, and in a very well mannered way too. And he's kind of just sitting up there. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's kind of in shock. Everyone's laughing, and that's kind of the situation there.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Okay, so right after, people are laughing still. So right after he says that, he's like, "Oh my gosh, Will Smith just did that." Will Smith is like, "Get my wife's name out your effing mouth." So behind him, I can see people are still laughing. I think they think Will is joking, and they can't see the cameras, right? They can't see Will's face, but I think they think Will is still joking in some way. I don't know. Everyone's just kind of dazed and confused at this point.
Wow.
So everyone's kind of laughing, but then we hear the ohs.
Oh, dude.
Everyone's kind of just like, what is happening? This is not Will Smith. He would not do this. Okay, now this is the good part.
It was a G.I.
So he said, wow, dude. And he was like, yes. And then he says, wow, dude, it was a G.I. Jane joke, right? Like, because Chris is like, I didn't even think about that joke. It was a one-offer. It was like a transition to my next joke, right? In my opinion, I think that Jada joke was a okay, so because they talked about making sure Will Smith wins Best Actor role from that first comment he made. So I think the Jada joke was just a transition to another joke. Like, it was Will Smith briefly acknowledged that Jada Smith was there, and the most obvious thing about Jada, he could have talked about her cheating. He could have talked about a lot of things, but the first thing he says is just a little bald joke, and he talks about, oh, you're G.I. Jane, which isn't even a bad bald person to be compared to. Could have been worse, obviously, and I get she might be insecure, but if she is insecure, Will could have handled this a lot better, because slapping someone, no matter what scenario it is, no matter how much you want to quote-unquote support your wife, and by the way, as a woman, I don't need anybody to support me and what I'm doing. So I just think that, like, every guy should support his woman if you feel the need to, and she can't, sure, I guess, but no, like, every woman can support herself. So that kind of annoys me already, that point, right? But even if he wanted to support his wife, let's say, and even if the joke was super offensive, and even if, all these ifs, right? He could have not slapped a man doing his job, because even if Chris stepped out of line, no matter what line you think he stepped, Will Smith harassed a man at his workplace. Chris hasn't. I think he should, but he has not filed any suits on this. No harassment charges. And that was very nice of him. And Will's going to get off really easy. But this also sets a precedent. This sets a precedent for comedians. Because now, if you make an offensive joke, and comedians, their whole job is to make jokes about people. But if you make a joke about that someone does not like, it is almost going to be normalized because of this Will Smith situation that you can be slapped. Okay? Now let's just finish off this video.
Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Okay, so Will gets really aggressive here, as you can tell. He says the same phrase again, but he gets almost heated. He almost looks like he's turning red. Not a reference to the movie, but he's getting real mad. And then Chris is kind of just like, okay.
I'm going to, okay?
He's like, I'm going to. Like, he almost sounds scared.
Okay.
He was just like, ugh. Like, he just got slapped, right? And he doesn't even know what to think.
That was a greatest night in the history of television.
Okay, so then he makes a joke, and then he moves on. So I think he handled this really perfectly. But, and I think Chris really did handle this perfectly. He didn't file a lawsuit. He handled it very, very, very professionally. Okay, now to go to a brief overview. You heard my opinion? Okay. No matter what stance you take, because everyone's heard about this at this point. No matter if you think the joke was offensive. No matter if you wanted to do the alopecia move. No matter if you think the joke was fine. I'm on the fence where I think the joke was fine. But no matter what you think, on whatever angle you are, the end thing is that Will Smith slapped a man at work, and that is harassment charges. If Will Smith was not wealthy, if he was not famous, if he was not charismatic, he would be getting a lawsuit, and he would be getting kicked out of the building. The thing that makes me mad, Will Smith, he just physically harassed someone. Yeah, sure, you can say it was a slap, but where's the line drawn then? what is it? When we're fully beating someone up, that's when we pull a harassment charge, or that's when we kick someone out? No. He physically harassed someone, so the man not only gets to sit, go to after parties, and be at the whole rest of the show like nothing happened, when he just harassed a man at his workplace, but he also ends up winning supporting actor and saying, I preach love and kindness. I think his apology afterwards, his apology on Instagram, was amazing. What he said on Instagram, his apology, you can go look it up. I don't want to talk about it because I do agree. I think he said it really nice. But when he was speaking on his speech, he didn't apologize to Chris. He apologized to the Academy. I think that Will Smith should have been kicked out. I don't think his award should be taken away, really, necessarily, because people like Harvey Weinstein, who are in jail, still have their Oscars. But I do think that something should have happened. He should have been kicked out of the room, because now it sets a precedent when this big guy, Will Smith, can get away with this without showing the rest of the world that comedians can be harassed on stage for doing their job. What I personally think is if you don't like the joke, just ignore it, do a little chuckle, or even roll your eyes. Show that you're annoyed. And then the comedian will move on. Or, if you're really pissed off, go up to the stage, take the microphone, say, can I please have the microphone? They'll be like, sure. And then you talk about it. You say, you know what? I'm very insecure about this topic, or my wife is, or my husband, whatever. And then you explain, and you say, maybe the joke wasn't out of line. Maybe consider this next time when you're making your jokes. There you go. You handle it very professionally. Everybody still loves you. But now when you go up and you let your emotions take over, no matter if Will was doing it because he was trying to be more of a man, or if he really was pissed, or if Jada said something, I don't know what happened. We didn't see that clip. There is no clip. But he did slap a man on stage, and that's the end. So I think that really this topic boils down to he slapped a man on stage. He should either be getting harassment charges or he should have been kicked out of the building. And that is what should have happened. Not just because I like Will Smith. I think he's a great actor. And I like him as a person. I think he's a great person. I think this was a very wrong decision. But I think that if we are doing these things, privileged people and people in power, they need to be representative of the choices our society makes. And if the choices our society makes ends up going like this, it's just horrible. And then he ends up getting a whole standing ovation on top of it. I know Jim Carrey talked a lot about this. You could go look at his interview. But he did say, something like, it really shows the situation that Hollywood, it isn't the cool kids club anymore. And it really is showing now in how the way people acted with this Will Smith situation. So I think no matter what, everyone should agree the slap was out of line, no matter what stance you take on the joke. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. I would get into the whole celebrity. I would recommend looking at Jim Carrey. I think he had a very, very appropriate topic of discussion for it. Trevor Noah talked about it, and he made some jokes about it at the Grammys. Questlove also mentioned it. Some people mentioned it, but I don't really want to get into that. That's not really the point here today. So, all in all today, I really do want to obviously say that, yes, this issue, it was a big deal, but I think that it is time to move on, and it is time to, we have to make sure that in the future, especially, or what we do from now, we make a precedent for what is right in the world is what is wrong, and the Oscars, even though people haven't been listening to it, it is a place for that. And, even if this was a marketing strategy for people to talk about the Oscars, it worked, clearly. And if not, what he did was out of line, and I think there should be some consequences, but again, I don't think the Grammy or the Oscars should be taken away. I think we just need better systems in place. So all in all, of course, the Will Smith situation is one that we've all talked about a lot, but I think we can all agree the slap was out of line. I think it is really funny. I think all the memes that are out right now, I've been dying on TikTok. All the TikToks about it make me die of laughter every day, so I'm getting enjoyment out of this. I'm sure everybody is. It is very funny. Some very funny jokes, and I think, everyone in the situation came out okay, right? Will Smith won an Oscar, didn't get any charges on him. Chris Rock had a sold-out stadium. The Oscars had all-time highs of searches compared to last year. It all turned out positively for everyone, so you could also say that. Okay, so that's enough of the Will Smith situation. As well, I do want to congratulate Troy and everybody else who won an Oscar. Coda, and all the amazing Oscar winners from that. I think they were snubbed a little bit, but I'm glad I could also talk about them as well as the Will Smith situation. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully it wasn't too much of repetition. I hope you enjoyed my little breakdown of the video. Hopefully it wasn't too much repetition for you guys about talking about it again, but I think I had to talk about it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening today. Every episode comes out on Tuesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, so always be ready to start the podcast there. It's available on any platform that you choose. You're listening to it, you know where to go. But if you want to connect, follow my different pages that I will mention. That is where you can find updates on videos. On Mondays, I always post about what video I'm doing, so you can get a little bit of a sneak peek on there. And all of that. So my Instagram page for the podcast is ever.changingworld. Again, ever.changingworld. Twitter is everchangingwor. Again, everchangingwor. Haven't posted there in a while, so you can go to Cambridge_bound. Again, Cambridge_bound. That one's probably updated. Next is the website. That is shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. Thank you guys so much for listening. Tune in every Tuesday and tune in next week for an amazing podcast episode, as every week is. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and tune in next week for even more amazing comment. Thank you.